What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast. On tonight's podcast, Benfica gets the celebration going of Oktoberfest in Germany. Then we get back to Lisbon, and we tell Sporting anything you could do, we could do the same. And we'll look at Fernando Santos' list.
Tá bom.
New boys, old boys, pardon boys. With me tonight, Mr. Steve Santos, as always, my partner in crime. Another person that is quickly becoming a fan favorite, Mr. Cristiano Oliveira.
Olá.
And Mr. Peggy, all the way from Australia. Hey, mate.
What's up, boys? How are we?
Good, Steve. What's going on, brother?
You know, another night, another podcast.
Speaking of another night, another podcast, our campaign for the T-shirts is going strong. If you haven't had a chance to order yours, I suggest you log into the site. It's Teespring, T-E-E spring.com/Benfica-podcast. So far, I think we've only sold 16 shirts.
Oh my God.
That's ridiculous, man.
Ridiculous. And I bought 2 of them, so that's even worse.
That's 14.
And I bought one.
That's
so
13.
So I'm thinking that the least amount that are sold, it probably is going to become a collector's item. Ladies and gentlemen, you better get on the ground floor, because if this thing takes off, these things are going to be worth a lot of money. That's all I'm saying. Anyway,
We've got to make them the first editions.
that's right. Let's get the show on the road. Anyway, let me just do something here. Let's get the show on the road. Benfica played Leverkusen. I don't think there's much we could say about this game. We all know that we got outplayed. But one thing that I wanted to go into, Steve, the lineup. Strange at all with the lineup rotation? You think maybe it's JJ's way of saying, we have a very short squad for this competition, or maybe it's him saying that the priority is the bicampeonato? What do you think?
I think it might be a little bit of all the above. If you look at the lineup, the one glaring question for me was Cristante. We look at the kid, and I was anxious to see what he could bring to us, but it wasn't very much. If you look at the other guys that were quote unquote second string, Andre Almeida he's played a lot for us in Europe over the past few seasons, and it could be for a combination of reasons. It could be Maxi Pereira can't play weekend, midweek, and on the weekend as well anymore. It could be that. It could be just because he's a little bit more defensively sound. It's another possibility. Derlei is the other quote-unquote second-string player, but if you look at his recent performances, I think there's a very good argument that sooner or later he's going to take Lima's spot. So that's not so much second string. Cristante is the big second stringer for me right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're looking, if JJ's trying to justify his decision with us, you have a kid who is super confident with the ball and is probably ready for that press that he's going to get from Leverkusen, or at least he won't be fazed by it. But that's not what happened. I mean, a player that is that slow with the ball at his feet and that slow to react to different situations, both offensively and defensively in the Champions League, it gets found out real quick. And Cristante was really out of his depth. Sorry.
Yeah. And I didn't even give the starting 11. Júlio César, Almeida, Luizão, Jardel, and Eliseu across the back. Cristante at defensive midfield. Enzo in front of him. Salvio and Gaetan on the wings, and Talisca and Derlei. Peggy, with this lineup that you see, definitely, what do you think? Do you think that's a realization that it's too short for this competition? Maybe the priority is the league. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it was. JJ came out in the press and said that it was the priority would be our national competition, and you can really tell with this starting 11 that he brought out. Cristante had only come on, I think, for about 20 minutes or so against Estoril, and we had Almeida in the back, and we've only Derlei up front with Talisca in behind. But I thought it was just a avalanche of attacking from Leverkusen. We never moved the ball out. they said they had their tactical as 4-4-2, but it quickly became a 4-2-2-2, and Song Hoon Min caused all sorts of trouble on the left side, or Almeida's right, Bellarabi, and it was just non-stop. That whole first half, we couldn't get out of our own area. It was amazing. The cameraman could have just put the camera at Julius Caesar that whole first half, and that was it.
Yeah.
The one thing that you could definitely notice in that game was the speed, the difference in speed from both clubs. And I think, and again, I often use this reference, and I have to do it right now to my boy Steve. I have to tip my cap to you, sir, because he broke it down for us perfectly. The pressure that Leverkusen put on Benfica was night and day. I mean, you could tell Benfica was not prepared to play to play at all in this game. And, you know, Cristante did not look good, but let's not forget, those are relatively his first minutes of the season. Yeah. It's still a 19-year-old kid that was getting his first minutes in the Champions League. So still a lot to come from this kid, but maybe right now it's a little bit too early to throw him out there to the Wolves. But the difference in the speed of the game and the pressure that Leverkusen put on Benfica, I don't care who was out there, man. They just were the better team that day. On that Wednesday, they were by far the better team.
Swarming. That's the one word that you could probably use to describe the way that Leverkusen played. They were just, every time a Benfica player would get the ball, players would just swarm. And only after they scored the second goal did they really ease up and let Benfica come a little bit into the game. But, I mean, let that be a lesson. And for me, Cristante is no defensive midfield.
I don't know about defensive midfielder, but he's a center midfielder, guy that will be able to spread the ball out, guy that can play with the ball at his feet, get into a defensive position, but he didn't show any of those qualities on Wednesday against Leverkusen. I think, you know, it leaves a lot of questions to be answered, but let's not forget, I emphasize, he's only 19 years old, and right now, there's still a lot of people in Milan picking up pieces of their heart that are throughout the floor broken because this kid was able to leave AC Milan.
Yeah, absolutely. He almost kind of reminds me of Andre Gomes at times, Steve, last season.
Yes.
A little bit of Andre Gomes, the touch not being there, the quick reactions not being there, the quick thinking not being there. We all know that the kid is skilled technically. He has the technical ability and a skill set, but just not very quick thinking. And in a game like that, I wonder if that was the right game to put this kid in.
I don't. Obviously, hindsight will say definitely it wasn't the right decision. But looking at that lineup on Wednesday, I was thinking, couldn't you switch this around and maybe play Cristante on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it was, versus Aroca? I mean, he should be good enough for that, but it ended up being the case where Aroca also gave us a really hard time for a good 75 minutes. So I might have been wrong in that sense too. But this whole thing about letting the Champions League play second fiddle to the Portuguese Championship is something that, how does that make you feel, guys? To me, it kind of bothers me.
I don't know.
Listen, let's be realistic. Benfica could play out of their minds. They're not winning the Champions League, guys. Let's be realistic about that.
Absolutely
and
not.
This is a group that we all, every single one of us on here, agreed that this is a group that all four teams are pretty much matched up evenly, in that we would not be surprised if either one were to get out of the group or either one were to finish in last. So in that case, I do kind of am glad in a way that Benfica is putting priority over the Campeonato Português, because let's be realistic, they're not that deep. The difference between this year's team and last year's team is the depth on this club. And right now, the only way that Benfica is going to win a back-to-back title for the first time in God knows how long is by having a club fresh, to have all these players rolling in the same direction and have them fresh, because realistic, they're not going to win either the UEFA, the Champions. They're not going to win any of it. So prioritize the one thing that you possibly could win and bring back a back-to-back title that you haven't done in so long.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with you, and definitely, you look at last year's squad, and you know it was a squad that there was a certain effort put forth to keep this squad together, so we can make a good run at the Champions League. I'm not saying that we had a team that's comparable to Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, even Dortmund. For that matter, but it was a team that was probably the best we could field, in order to put forth a good effort and to at least get past the group stage, and now, we see where we ended up. But I'm looking at the rest of this group stage. We now host Monaco next,
back-to-back.
Then we go to Monaco, and I'm thinking we gave up all these goals now, and depending how it goes between Zenit and Leverkusen and how everything turns out, but I'm thinking that we're going to be hard-pressed to even make the Europa League, giving up these many goals. Peggy, what do you think, man?
It might actually be. I think to myself, we all want Benfica to do well and win trophies and go for things, but it might actually be well if we don't make that third spot, and just not make Europe at all. Of course, then that might cause all sorts of other issues with player retention and stuff. But as long as we keep our focus on the league, we should be okay. And as we're going to talk about, like JJ was kind of indicated because the Aroca performance was pretty difficult.
Yeah, it was, and it was something that we probably never saw coming, this Aroca performance. But just any final thoughts on this, Cristiano? What do you think of our chances as far as the rest of the group stages go?
Again, I emphasize, man. I said it again. I'll say it all over again. I would not be surprised if Benfica were to beat Monaco back-to-back. Just like I would not be surprised if Monaco were to beat Benfica back-to-back. So, realistically, Benfica with 2 positive performances against a relatively weak Monaco. This is not the Monaco with James Rodriguez and Falcao from. Let's not forget that, guys. So, I think they could be had. So, with 2 victories, 2 reasonable performances, they could be right back into this with 6 points. Now, for the long run, will it be beneficial to Benfica? I don't think so. I mean, I kind of, in a way, wish that, they would go out respectfully, okay, with their head up high, get some points out of this. Obviously, you want to put up some points on the scoreboard, but really focus on the Taça Portugal and on the Campeonato because they're not going to win the competition. Yes, like Pedri made a great point. It'll be hard, to keep keep some of these players on the roster, especially if you don't get that Champions League money. But this is a team that made money last year. This is a team that's been able to make money over the last couple of seasons. Let's try to keep some of these players and build for the future. So that next season, when you're back in this position, you're not stinking up the place.
Yeah, my only problem is that going out in a Champions League group stage and even not going to Europa, it's not something that's indicative of Benfica's reputation worldwide.
Exactly.
And that's the one problem that I have with us not taking this competition seriously. I mean, we were considered 5th in Europe. We were ranked 5th in Europe. And if we go out to the Europa League again, or even not make the Europa League, that's not indicative of the name Benfica. That's the one problem that I have.
And let's not forget also, you may bring up a great point. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not letting you get in this, but Benfica has not gotten out of the Group 5 of the last 6 or 7 Champions Leagues also, which is kind of embarrassing. So in a way, you kind of want them to get out because you want to hold your head up high. You want them to be respectful. You want to get that respect across Europe. But realistically, man, let's look at the big picture. Will this team compete for a title in either competition? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's tough. It's going to be tough. Even the Europa League, depending on who's going to be there, and there's probably going to be some big teams there as usual. I don't know. Steve, I'm with you. I much rather them go out, and with you also, Pedri, have them go out and just totally concentrate on the Portuguese Campeonato and the Portuguese Cup and the Taça da Liga. The thing, to me, the only problem with that is that we have all these guys that need to rotate in, and we won't have a competition to rotate them in.
That's exactly it. And then we all talked about respectable, and I don't think that by playing what some would call our second string is respectable in Europe. I mean, like we mentioned before, our history, our tradition is brought upon those 2 European Cup successes we had in the 60s. It's brought with that the multiple times we went to finals and didn't win them because of a certain curse. That's what built the tradition of this club. And to really let Europe play second fiddle to the Portuguese Championship, to me, doesn't seem to run eye to eye with what we've done in the past. I mean, exactly. I mean, we've got players that should be good enough to compete in Portugal.
Yeah.
And okay, they're not of Champions League quality. Like I'm not saying that you guys are wrong about this, about us not having a chance in the world to win the Champions League. I understand that, but to put out a respectable showing is what I would have preferred. And I don't think that the message that JJ put out to the fans and to the squad itself is the right message for a club with the tradition and the history of ours. That's what I think.
Yeah, but maybe it's indicative of his knowledge of the squad and the shortcomings of the squad, and knowing that this squad is, number one, too young for the Champions League, not experienced enough, and short on talent.
What's that old saying, man? Sometimes you have to give up a battle in order to win a war. And it's kind of like I kind of feel it, you know, it applies here. I think Benfica, the way you're going to get respect as a club is by making it to the Champions League year in, year out. Benfica will make a lot of their money, will be able to sign a lot of their players just by qualifying, by coming out, you know, obviously winning the Campeonato in Portugal and making it to Champions League. A lot of players throughout South America and other clubs will want to come play for your team because you will be present in the Champions League, and that's how you're going to make money. So you're only going to strengthen your club by winning domestically, in my opinion. And once you're able to put that team together, now you're able to go out there and compete at a higher level, you know, at the UEFA level, at the Champions League level. I think that's how you build your team. So right now, today, I'm talking about today's team. Last year I had a different view on things, but today this team is not that strong. So just to say that you want to come out respectful, you want to put a better showing, it's going to hurt you in the Campeonato because we are not as deep as Football Club do Porto. You know, right now we're 4 points ahead, so we need to rest those players. And there's still the Taça da Cerveja and the Taça de Portugal and the Campeonato to rotate players, in my opinion.
Yeah, Peggy, I'll give you one last word on this Champions League thing before we move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I want to just say that that we're not saying that we're not taking it seriously, but there is a stretching of the team that that we can only manage with what's happened with all the transfers that have gone out, and I don't think it's wrong for JJ to come out and say that he's going for the league, but yeah, like we can all see that this team needs to be rotated, and if we had picked up the win in Leverkusen and dropped points on the weekend against Aroca, it would have been it still would have, we just want to win. We all understand that, but I think we've just got to pick those wars, as Cristiano was saying, delicately. So
yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, so turning our attention to Aroca, and obviously JJ gave a hint in midweek about this Aroca team, and I guess he was worried about the Aroca team and decided to save some guys for this Aroca. Steve, do you really think that he knew what Aroca was capable of, or do you think that he's at a point where that he knows that if Porto starts clicking, that it'll be hard to stop Porto?
I think he knows both of those things. He mentioned in the pregame press conference before Bayer Leverkusen that he was probably going to have to rest a couple of guys for the important match that he had on the weekend. That being said, I don't think he would have expected it to be that difficult, where we were pretty much outplayed in the first half, I'd have to say. I mean, we can say what we want about Artur, but if he wasn't up to at least decent standards, we would have been down 1 or 2-0 at halftime, and then we would have a big mountain to climb. So we have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, let me give you the lineup real quick. Artur was in goal, of course. Julio Cesar has a lombalgia, and for those of you that don't know, his back hurts. A lombalgia.
That sounds like he wants a paycheck but doesn't want to do anything for it.
Dores no lombo. So Artur was in goal. Maxi, Luizão,
Lisandro Lopez, Lilo, finally got some playing time.
Eliseu, Samaris, Talisca were in the middle. Enzo Perez was a late scratch, I think. Maybe a knock, maybe?
Nah, he's with the Argentine national team, so
right. So
just
he gave him some time.
Give him some time off.
Salvio and Gaetan on the wings, they're late, and Lima up front. And I gotta look. I know that I don't know what you did, Cristiano. I don't know if you did some kind of juju or whatever. We wished for
Don't blame me. That was all Steve.
Jardel's injury.
I'll take the credit. Thank you.
There we go. Lisandro's in. Let's just start with that. Peggy, what'd you think of Lisandro, man?
I thought he was good. Passes were crisp. Moved the ball around well. I might cause a bit of a stir here, but just back on Jardel, it was great to see Lisandro, but I'm getting the feeling that our biggest problem might actually be Eliseu. Not to say that Jardel has issues, but I think the bombers that he scored is kind of hiding a lot of the deficiencies that he has, and I think it was affecting Lisandro. But on the whole, he played all right. There was the first shot that Pinto Glicio or whatever his name was got away. Yeah, that was the only real error that I caught. Apart from that, it looked fine. Aroca kept pressing, and they had shots early before Del got one away in the 27th minute. But that was a good debut.
Pedro brings up a good point, though, guys.
What's that?
I mean, realistically, you look at that first half. Majority of the danger came down their right side, which is our left side, and that has a lot to do with Eliseu. I mean, you kind of take the good with the bad with Eliseu. He has a cannon. He's not that great attacking because the guy can't really go down the wing and cross the ball. Yeah. But when he hits it perfectly. And so right now he's a decent player. If you're able to team him up with a guy like Alessandro, who we all have tons of hope for, he'll be all right. But then you put him over there with another clumsy dude, a guy that's mistake-prone in Jardel, it's really going to come out and it's going to show more. Yeah. Now, the guy that really stood out for us, at least in the first half, defensively, Steve hit it right in the head. Artur, a guy that we've all criticized, along with Jardel. I think those are probably two guys that we criticized the most. And the guy saved us. I mean, we could have very easily been down 2-3-0 in the first half if it wasn't for some spectacular saves on his part.
Yeah, nobody said that the guy is not a good shot stopper. He is a good shot stopper. His problem is distribution coming out. That's his biggest problem. You know, but the thing is that, and I mentioned this to Steve off the air, is that Eliseu is slowly fading on me. The bombs have probably kept him afloat and made him maybe a fan favorite. His couple bombs, but defensively,
no, he's horrid. He's horrid defensively. He can't get. He just can't make the right decisions. He doesn't know when he should be nice and tight on his man. He doesn't know when he should be closer to his center back and allow the winger to have the flank and cover the space behind him. He has no clue. He's slow to come out to Luizão's calls. He's defensively, he's a bit of a nightmare. But he's one of Jesus' projects for God knows how many years. He's wanted him. So we're going to stick with him. I'm telling you this. You're not going to see the Swiss kid.
Whoa. I'm sorry, Steve. I kind of feel he could play him at midfield, left wing, and just let him be out there because he played left wing at Malaga. He played a lot of left wing at Malaga.
You're right about that. No arm, no foul. Just let him be up there.
But the problem is, who do you play left back, Steve? We don't have one. I mean,
you have that Swiss kid, but I don't know if the Swiss kid is good enough.
That's right, Steve. Forgot about him. Why hasn't he played?
Because he has holes like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, and he's not one of Jesus' favorites either.
Sure, he doesn't have those pictures. That's what I think.
The pictures.
Steve got him on the album at home.
But another guy that I wanted to talk about, Steve, Derlei, man. I was really impressed by this guy. Works a lot, fast, very, very fast, in and out of holes, man. It just seems to me that he needs a little bit more time and perhaps a couple more goals to gain some confidence. But as you've said, this guy is poised to take over Lima's spot.
Yeah, the more I see him, the more I see that happening. I mean, like you mentioned, super aggressive. A lot of the word in Portuguese I think is rasudo, when you just have a lot of passion, a lot of raça as the word goes, and the guy's got it. And on top of that, he plays really well with his back to goal, and the way he attacks the ball in the area is different than Lima, different than Cardozo, different than any forward we've had in a long time. For me, like you said, 1 or 2 goals and we might have a special player on our hands. A lot of people mentioned that it looks like he's got poor touch. I think the more you see him, the more you're going to disagree with that. I think maybe he's obviously not Jonas, he's obviously not Gaetan, but I think there's better feet than most people will give him credit for.
Guys, good Jonas.
Hey, Steve, I was going to ask you. You know who scored in his first game? Who scored? Jonas. That's a guy that could potentially take over for Lima up top.
But Steve is on the Jonas bandwagon.
He's a smart man.
I'm not on the Jonas bandwagon yet.
Here's this. Here's the way I feel about Jonas. Jonas is not a 9. Jonas will be a perfect player to play like Rodrigo did, exactly. in that pocket where he carries the ball forward. He offers himself as a passing option all the time. Smart player, very good touch. I mean, his first touch in that game killed the ball dead. First touch, second touch knocks it over the. I can't remember who it was. Head. I think it was David Simão, and then comes on the other side and plays it off. Come on, man.
You're gushing, dude.
The guy's a fantastic player, man. You're going to really like him. The problem that we're having, Steve, with getting what we want, which was putting him at Gaitan's place and bringing Gaitan into the middle is that Talisca can't stop scoring. He scored his 6th of the season. So
Wait,
right now,
Gaitan, you put him on the left?
no, put Jonas on the left and because that's where he played, on the wing, outside.
I didn't know
on the left, and put him on and bring Gaitan into the middle of the field. But Talisca, the guy, say what you want. Ever since Mourinho and Jorge Jesus had this little hustle and tussle back and forth, the guy just can't stop scoring. The guy, I think he likes to.
He's like
if you're talking about guys on the left, we've got to put Olajuwon out there. We've got to start him out there because those 2 crosses that he put in were just basically passes for the players.
Ridiculous.
We've got to have all.
We got Eliseo, Gaitan, Jonas. We got everybody for the left. Everybody just plays on the left. Forget it.
I always have this argument with my dad. My dad thinks Olajuwon sucks. And I keep trying to put it into his head. Pai, you have no clue. Keep watching him. See how many times he actually makes the wrong decision, and see how often that is. And it's very rare.
A lot of people just hope that he would blow by people, just like Salvio, put his head down and just dribble and blow by people. But he's not that type of a player.
Completely different.
No, the difference is Salvio has the green light to do what he wants when he wants. And I tell you, as a guy who kicked the ball around a little bit myself, it's a totally different game, a totally different mentality when you know that you have the okay and the ability and the freedom to do whatever it is that your coach wants, as opposed to some guys who are restricted. I know myself, every time my coach tried to tell me to drop back and play defense, it was like a night and day. And then they were complaining, like, yo, dude, why aren't you scoring? I'm like, my man, I can't defend and score at the same time. You got to pick your poison. So, that's why I didn't defend much, guys. But that's what it is. I think Olajuwon comes in. And remember, man, he comes in, and every time, he wants to do a lot of the things. He wants to create and do a lot of, fintas and do whatever it is that makes him successful. He's probably thinking back, like, he doesn't have that confidence from the manager. So he has to take advantage of his opportunities because he feels every time he messes up, it could be the last time Jorge Jesus puts him on the field.
You're right.
That's a terrible way to play.
You're right. You can't play with that pressure on your shoulders, that's for sure. But, I mean, every time that I've seen the kid, it's not all about blowing by people, man. You got to be able to use your brain and make your best decision. And I think that Olajuwon has a lot of criteria when it comes to that. He makes a lot of good decisions. When he needs to blow by people, he will. When he needs to wait for a guy to follow him, he does. And just it's a shame that the guy's not playing more. But when he does come, he makes it happen. Peggy, what do you think? Your thoughts on Jonas? We haven't gone to you with Jonas. Are you on the Jonas bandwagon also?
I think I wrote to you during the match. Or when I was watching the replay, I wanted to see Jonas see what a mongrel he was, like Cristiano was saying, the trouble that he could cause around the box. But no, he seemed to be okay. And like Steve was saying, it's the Rodrigo foil that we probably have been looking for since he left. But now Lima's apparently injured as well, so we'll see now what we're actually going to do.
Yeah. Cristiano, the one thing that I was surprised is the way that Aroca came out at us, and we've seen too often teams come to Estádio da Luz, and this used to never happen. Come to Estádio da Luz and play Benfica eye to eye. You think that's the one tactic or the one game plan that teams are going to be adopting from now on?
I think that's the one surprising thing and the one depressing thing as a Benfica fan. I think these teams have lost respect for Benfica because, you've heard so much criticism over the summer of how so many players were leaving, not enough quality was coming in. I think a lot of these coaches are like, let's put that method to the test. Let's go out there, punch them in the face, and see if they react, because this team is not as deep. They don't have the same amount of quality players, game changers that they had last year. So I think that's the new approach that teams have taken to this Benfica team. And my personal thing, I've always been one of those, like, in order to stop a bully, punch them right back in the face. And I think that's the approach that people take now when they play Benfica, to see if they're really that tough, or everything, all the crap and BS you heard over the summer, if that's really true.
Yeah, Benfica definitely doesn't have that 1-2 touch and that type of combinations to get out of the box this year as they had last year.
And that's why we're getting pressed. That's exactly the reason why we're getting pressed. Coaches are doing their homework. They see that the back three that we're building play with of Luizão and Samaris and Jardel just aren't cutting it. They don't have the criteria, like you used the word before, to play the 1-2 touch, to play the ball in between lines. They don't have that. So the coaches are catching up onto this, and they're going to press us from now until the end of the season, or if Lisandro does turn out to be the player that we think he is, and he adds that extra bit of ability to pick out a pass, we might see them back off a little bit, because if you're gonna press a guy who's comfortable on the ball and he's able to break your pressure and leave 3 guys in his wake with 1 pass, it's gonna make you think twice about doing it again. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm sure we're gonna keep on getting pressed in the first phase of construction at least.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was one thing that I noticed about Lisandro, was that first of all, he seems a lot faster than Jardel. Also, his passes a lot more pace out of his feet than Jardel, and that's one thing that if you can make a pass like that that's pacey and that's accurate, you could burn a couple guys that are coming to press.
Exactly.
And it's important for Benfica to come out on an offensive transition.
100%. Jardel just doesn't have the confidence in his own abilities to play the ball at pace and to play that first ball where he's not just going sideways or back toward Artur. He's going to play that ball where he's going to try to look for a Gaetan. He's going to try to look for a Jonas or whoever's playing, Talisca, whoever. He doesn't have that, but let's hope that the more we see of Lisandro, he will have it more and more often.
Yeah.
Jardel should be pairing up with Steven Vitoria somewhere. It should be.
Poor Steven Vitoria.
Anyway.
We're looking for him.
I'm telling you, this has to be the show that speaks about Steven Vitoria the most. So, any pub is good pub. So you should be happy we're talking about
That's
him.
right.
We're probably the only ones.
So Talisca got on the board at the 75th minute. 75th minute. And Cristiano, I'll let you give some more love to Talisca, because I know you love giving love to this guy.
No, the impressive thing is that, to me at least, he was able to score a golazo with his off foot. He's all lefty. Majority of the time, everything he does is left. And the guy and that to me was impressive. He was able to switch to his right in an absolute perfect blast, placement on the shot. So I thought when he first cocked back, I was like, here we go, Jabai. But he was able to hit it and put it on right on goal, and a fantastic goal. So kid's really, really playing well, shutting a lot of people up. So
yeah, and again, with the field in front of him, as we've said that he plays the best, combination, pacey, long strides, getting away from the defender and putting the ball away.
And give credit to Derlei, who had his back to the goal, was able to play the 1-2 with him, which we haven't seen Lima do that much. So that was a perfect combination play by both guys.
Yeah, and then the second goal by Derlei, another hustling and being at the right spot at the right time. You can't ask for much more. And then, the 2 beauties from Olajan, the one with Salvio up in the sky. I thought he was like on the 3rd floor when he headed that ball.
Looked like Cristiano Ronaldo against Manchester United, 6 floors high.
Yeah, he was.
It nearly overshot him. It was a good header. It nearly went past him, but Salvio bent his head back. It was awesome.
Yeah, you didn't even need to put power. He just cocked his head back and redirected. It was perfect. It's a perfect cross. But and then Jonas.
Yeah. Listen, then again, if Jonas couldn't score that, that'd be embarrassing. He came close on the Lisandro header when Lisandro hit the header the ball off the post. The goalie made a nice save on the one time right back. Jonas put it on goal. But that, it was a relatively easy goal. But listen, the thing is, he had that cold blood in his veins that he was able to tuck it away. A lot of other guys, back in the days, we've seen plenty of Benfica strikers who would have put that right over the goal. So
I would have been left.
Steve, you've seen that happen, correct or not, Steve?
Yeah. I think we could remember Franco Jara or perhaps maybe
missed a couple of those.
Cardozo on a couple of occasions, but let's not badmouth the guy now that he's gone. We don't need to badmouth anymore, and he's got a great record with the club. So
what is going on here, bro? Is anybody even paying attention to Pedro? Pedro came on with his.
Okay. What happened?
He had 3 different headsets. Now he's got. this guy. He must have somebody in the back dressing him up. What is going on with Pedro? You ever watch those modeling commercials shows that they disappear and they're constantly changing? That's Pedro right now. Pedro, what is going on, Pedro?
Everyone, watch the video. You gotta watch the video to find out what the guys are talking about.
Pedro is doing.
He started like a businessman. Now he looks like a
Pedro's doing his best impression of Clark Kent. He's busting out of his shirt.
By the end of the show, my man will be guns blazing like Empire.
There you go. There's the white shirt coming out. Look, there it is.
There it is.
There's the
there
type.
we go.
Good thing is we don't have that much time left where you can take that one on. You know what I
mean? So anyway, a good win for us.
Was it?
You're looking at the scoreboard.
But watch the Aroca press, eh, boys? Bruno Amaru and David Simão pressing Samaras in that first 25 minutes. That was big.
Yeah. But we know that's how they're going to attack us, because they know that the guy is not – he's more comfortable getting 2-3 touches on the ball, Samaris, because he's not really a defensive midfield, so people are going to press him because he's not the type of guy of getting the ball and circulating, changing, boom, 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 boom.
No, he wants to run with it.
And realistically, without Enzo Perez, he's by himself in the middle. There was nobody probably around for him to play that quick 1-2 game 2. Go ahead, Steve.
This whole Samaris thing is reminding me. Let's hope it works out to be like this. But I remember Matic's first few games replacing Javi Garcia as not really a substitute, but Garcia went down with an injury and Matic played a couple of games. And I remember watching this guy. I was like, he needs to start playing the simpler option more often. He just needs to stop holding on to the ball. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. But a year later, you probably have the best defensive midfielder in the world. So.
But it's funny that you said that when Samaris was in the final third, then we really see his quality.
Yes.
Take people on, the short touch, looking for the combination, because that's where he feels the most comfortable in.
Guys, I think it's safe to say that Benfica has not, how do I put it, stopped searching for their starting defensive center mid. That's my
You don't
opinion.
think so? You think there's something out there they're still looking?
I don't think so, because I don't think Samaris is that type of player, and same thing with Cristante. They're more players that play in the Enzo Perez role, and they need a guy back there like a Javi Garcia, a Feja, who's not that great, but defensively,
Feja's coming back.
But defensively, the guy, I read the numbers of attacks that he would break down, as opposed to other guys in his position. The guy's fantastic at doing that, and this team right now doesn't have a guy in the midfield that does all the dirty work. So I think Benfica is still, quietly, but still searching for that one player, because I don't think anybody on this roster right now, maybe with the exception of Feja, a guy who's a monk, who's a trapalhão with the ball at his feet, they don't have many guys that can play that position right now. Steve, you agree?
To an extent, yes, I do. I think Jesus is going to keep pushing on Samaris.
What about Almeida?
I don't.
Almeida.
I like the option more in the mold of Fesa or of Javi Garcia. More simple with the ball, defensively sound, makes the right decision, simple. But I think JJ is going to keep pushing on with Samaris, just because it's going to be hard to get somebody good in January to come into the side, personally. But there's no two ways about it that Samaris is more of an 8 than a 6 at the moment. And I think this all leads back to August 30th, them really, really being scared of Valencia just saying, okay, fine, here's your bio clause for Enzo, we're taking him, and go F yourself.
Yeah.
And figure out what you're going to do with a number 8. And we bought Cristante and Samaris as cover just in case that were to happen.
And I tell you, the way that André Gomes has been, I know this is a Benfica podcast, but the way André Gomes has been playing over at Valencia, honestly, that might just put to rest the whole infatuation with Enzo Perez, because André Gomes is playing to a whole other level.
He's bossing.
The guy was on the La Liga player team of the month, and he was the other day against Atletico Madrid. He was a player of the game. So right now, a lot of question marks that they possibly had going into the season have just been answered with André Gomes. So therefore, they can invest that 25 to 35 million euros on another player because they don't need Enzo Perez. So this, Enzo to me is still not on his way out in January, guys.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
But I just find it funny that Steve can't say Samaris correctly.
I just can't do it. I don't know why. Samaris.
There is Samaris. I find it funny that Pete still got a shirt on. But yeah, Samaris. That's the way you say it.
Benji, how do you say it?
Samaris.
There you go. All right. Anyway. So an important win. We continue at the top. Porto beat Braga, so we're still in 4 points ahead of Porto. Sporting also won 4-0 in the same fashion that we did late in the game. 4 games in like 15 or 20 minutes or something like that. But it was a good win for us. Now we take an international break, and it's about the international break that I want to go forward with. As everybody knows, Fernando Santos was named the Portuguese coach after Paulo Bento was fired, basically. And I know that there's some questions as to what's going on with Fernando Santos, and he's under suspension by FIFA for something that happened in the World Cup. Peggy, you got details on that? What's going on? I know that something came out today.
I do. Just that original suspension happened when Australian referee Ben Williams had an altercation with him. So I apologise, everyone, for that.
Had to be an Aussie.
We don't know what we're doing. But anyway, yeah, they came out today and said that they're having a look at it. Unfortunately, he won't be ready for the France game on the 11th, but they're expecting to have a decision on the 13th or before the 13th on whether he can be on the bench for Denmark, or I don't even know if he's allowed to communicate, but there'll be some kind of decision.
Yeah, as of right now, he lost his appeal on September 24th for a reduction of the suspension. So they told him he could appeal it on the Court of Arbitration, whatever that is over there in Europe. So there's still a chance that the suspension gets reduced. But right now, like Pedro said, he'll be on the bench on Saturday against France, but on Tuesday against Denmark, still up in here, still no clue as to what's going to happen in this game.
Steve, can we get Fernando Mendes to intervene? I mean, this guy appears to have his hand in everything football. Jorge Mendes.
I knew who you meant. The most powerful man in football, as he's been touted lately. Who knows? He's probably got enough money to grease somebody's wallet and make things happen. But that's the only flaw in Fernando Santos' CV. I mean, he was tailor-made for the position, if you ask me, outside of that suspension.
Right. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But if one appeal has been denied already, I mean...
Yeah, odds aren't good.
I mean, that's a huge gamble to take on somebody that may very well be suspended throughout our whole qualification to France.
And into the Euro, because he'd only be available game 2, I believe. Because it's an 8-game suspension. So he'd only be, like, let's say Portugal qualified, he'd only be available game 2 of the Euros.
Wow, dude. Can we get Pinto da Costa to send some fruta to UEFA or FIFA?
And it wouldn't be the first time that FIFA's been bribed. So, yeah, it could possibly work. Just put Pinto da Costa on the job.
So, anyway.
A Rolex and 10,000 euros. That usually works.
Some fruta, too.
Don't forget the fruta.
The fruta is important.
Fruta is the most important part.
Fruta and café con leche.
Epa.
You know what that means. Anyway. So Fernando Santos had his first call-up and some surprises, and we're gonna play a little game. I'm gonna mention a name of a player.
Drum roll.
And you guys are gonna. It's a word association. You guys are gonna name the first word that comes to mind when I mention this player.
Are
okay.
there any children listening?
Now you could go. You got free reign. Cristiano, I'm gonna start with you. Rui Patricio.
Frangueiro. Peru.
That's 2 words, dude.
Pito. They're all the same thing.
Peggy, Antonio Lopes. Or Anthony Lopes.
I was going to say, who's that?
New.
No one knows.
Peggy, Steve, Beto.
Cheater.
Christian, Pep.
I love it. Still hurt.
Hello.
Peggy, Coentrão.
Well, he's out.
He got sent home. But he got called up.
Give me another one.
He was on the list.
Give me another one.
But he got sent home.
Who replaced him? All right, I give you another one. Bruno Alves.
Deck chair.
What?
Deck chair.
Wait, one of those relaxing deck chairs? I mean, he can't be one.
Yeah, that's right, because he's still sitting on the ground, isn't he?
Oh, nice. Nice.
And this guy didn't even know this was coming. Look at this guy.
Steve, Cedric.
Promising.
Eliseu, Cristiano.
Eliseu. Canhão.
Peggy. Ivo Pinto.
Who?
Unknown.
You always give the unknown guys to this guy.
Steve,
Poor guy.
Steve José Fonte.
Finally.
Cristiano Ricardo Carvalho.
For what? That's first thought. For what? He's too old. He's too slow.
Peggy Antunes.
Shit.
Ginger.
Promising, right? I don't know.
Steve Moutinho.
Engine.
Cristiano André Gomes.
The future.
Peggy Adrian.
An interesting.
Steve, João Mário.
I would say future, but Mr. Cristiano took it away.
You can use it.
Steve, you and I think alike, brother. Go ahead. All right.
Admirable.
Later. Admirable.
Cristiano Thiago.
All reliable.
Pedgi, William Carvalho.
Safe.
Steve, Cristiano Ronaldo.
You had to give me the one guy that everybody loves, but I don't.
That's why I gave it to you.
Goals.
Cristiano Nani.
Nani. Let's see. What's a good word to describe Nani? Epa. I can't even come up. Any help, guys? Nani. Gajo que... Dude, I don't know. Zero à esquerda. Gajo que... All this promise, but come on. Nothing, you know what I mean? The guy has all the talent, but can't put it together. So, zero à esquerda.
Pedgi, Dani.
Movement.
Steve, Quaresma.
Cigano.
Don't think of him. We've seen him yesterday on Twitter with those ugly. Don't. Hopefully, that's not the first thing that popped into your head.
Meirelles is a replacement for wackiest outfits.
Oh my God, that was terrible.
Cristiano.
Don't stop. Don't say it.
Heather.
Listening at home, I apologize. Merda. Can't stand the guy. Whatever. He has no spot on this team.
Pedgi, Vieirinha, last one.
Blunt.
A rolling? Oh, it kind of...
Blunt.
Okay, Blunt. There you go. Are you guys surprised at all that he was able to call guys who apparently had done the seleção wrong, like Dani, like Carvalho? Are you guys surprised at all that he's called them, or do you think it was always a Paulo Bento thing? It was kind of like something personal that Paulo Bento had against him. What do you think, Cristiano?
I think that's a very good point. I think this signals the problem that the Portuguese national team had, which was Paulo Bento there was something there that wasn't mixing, and a lot of these guys did not want to play for him, and I think that was one of the leading causes that we saw how terrible this team played when it came time to play in the World Cup. I just don't think everybody was on the same page.
Yeah, and you said that he likes his velha guarda.
Mm-hmm. He's stuck with the same old guys.
So, Steve, do you think this is a renaissance of or a renewal of sorts? This list. I mean, we got guys way in their 30s. Ricardo Carvalho, got Thiago. Even though they're dependable, but do you think this is a renewal of sorts?
It definitely is a renewal compared to what was there before. I think you look at Thiago and you look at Ricardo Carvalho, and Thiago said in his interview just the other day where, yes, him and Ricardo Carvalho don't have a great future with the Seleção, but they definitely have a great present. And if you look at the way they're playing for their clubs, arguably there's not many better options for them or to them for the starting 11. I'd play Ricardo Carvalho next to Pep personally. Thiago has a very fair shout to play in midfield. So yes, they are not the future. It's not a complete renovation, but there's also young kids that are coming that can feed off of these smart veterans like these two guys who've come back. João Mário can look at Thiago and learn things from him. Rui Fonte is on the wrong side of 30 as well, but I think Neto will eventually make his way into this side, I hope, and hopefully he can learn from Carvalho as well. So there's pluses. So
Rui Fonte is the brother, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zé Fonte. Yeah, I got that wrong. Rui Fonte was there too. He drove Zé Fonte to Óbidos yesterday. he was the taxista.
Was he wearing a leather skirt?
Maybe.
That's ugly. Fucking guy.
Outra vez com linguagem. Sempre a mesma coisa.
Let me jump in here. I do agree with you about Ricardo Carvalho. I think, to me, at least in my mind, he's my favorite Portuguese national team central that I could recall seeing on a daily basis. I absolutely love the guy when he's at the prime of his game, and he's one of these guys. I thought he went over to Chelsea and he put John Terry on the map. A lot of people talked about Terry, but he was the rock. He was the guy that made the team work in the back four. So I don't have anything but praise for this guy. But at the current moment, I don't think he's at that level anymore. He played a good game over the weekend against Cavani at Paris Saint-Germain. He pretty much shut down Cavani. But this is a Cavani that's not motivated right now. A lot of people talking about he wants to leave Paris Saint-Germain. He's not happy in Paris. So to me, it just leaves a lot of question marks. Yes, I understand that the experience and the ability that this guy brings into this team is unmeasurable. So right now, I wouldn't mind seeing him on a team, but being that guy that's going to sit there and be the voice, and, the reason for these young kids, like you mentioned. But I just have a problem with if you're going to count on this guy right now. I don't think he's the same player he was before.
Steve Dahl.
Definitely not the same player he was before. But do I have a lot more faith and a lot more confidence playing him there instead of Bruno Alves? For sure. Do I know more about him? Do I have a better idea of what he can bring me over José Fonte? Yes, again, for sure. For me, he's in the starting 11.
Peggy, taking away Ivo Pinto, which most of the people don't even know who this kid is, for you, who was the biggest surprise of this call-up?
Well, it was Carvalho to have him back, just because he is over 35 But I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Monaco other than that Champions League game, so I can't make a call on that. But there was one of the Portuguese podcasts was saying that Fernando Santos could be playing the good cop role of Paulo Bento's bad cop. So the refresh has happened. I think it's also kind of the 8-match suspension is left aside because the Federation wanted to open up more players that have been discarded for whatever reason, whether it was faxes or whatever. But just on some of the players, I mean, it's good. I disagree. I'd love to see José Fonte start because, I mean, I watch a bit of the Premier League. He's been the Southampton captain. How he hasn't been picked with the EPL so big in Portugal, all around the world, is incredible. But I think he deserves to start. I would start him next to Pep to see how it goes against France. It could be a disaster, could be not. Then there was a couple of players. I thought the Quaresma thing. I've never been a fan of Quaresma since 2012, but I know people do like him.
Not very low.
I would have.
That's not very low. 2012 is just around the corner.
Just as a. Yeah, just the last Euro, I imagine. But yeah, I've never liked him anyway. But as a player, but I would have given Ronnie Lopes a call.
Why haven't they called that?
He's hurt.
Oh,
I think he's hurt.
That explains it. That kid, that's the future for the national team right there.
The freaking U21s, they got a ridiculous.
And they better
team,
call him up before Brazil.
Well, hold on. Is he hurt, or is it because he needs to play for Portugal in the under-21s in the playoff versus Holland, so they make it for the under-21s?
That's possible. But they need to call him up before Brazil does, though. Guys.
Nah, but I think he's already decided that he's going to play for Portugal.
He's professed his love for Portugal a couple of times already. Okay. So let's hope it sticks to that. I'm jumping in.
Sure.
A player that I'm surprised and happy to see, Adrien. Come on, shoot me while you want, but I think he had a fair shout to be included into many a roster over Meireles, and he never got a shout because
I agree with you.
For one reason or another, he had some sort of thing with Paulo Bento, and there's that whole good cop, bad cop thing, and you're opening doors to players who probably had a shot or deserved a shot and didn't get one with Paulo Bento. That's who I'm happy to see. The other guy is Danny.
Yeah, I just think that Fernando Santos is afraid that Adrian's girlfriend is going to speak out against him, like she did against Paulo Bento. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like a girlfriend speaking out against me. That's always an embarrassing situation, Cristiano.
I mean, if she's hot, bro, she get away with it.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, then she's good. Whatever. Say what you want, baby. Just come home. You know what I mean? I mean, you know what I'm interested in seeing playing, guys? Thank you all three of you for asking me. You know what I mean? The goalkeeper. Anthony, what's his name?
He's not going to play. You know, Frangueiro's going to play.
But I've never seen this kid play. I mean, I'm really intrigued to see.
Goalkeeper.
I know he is for Lyon. I'm talking about with the Portuguese. I want to see the kid. I want to see the guy play. I think he could be refreshing. He's playing obviously in League. You know, he's done a fantastic job with Lyon. So why not? I mean, listen, Frangueiro had phenomenal game against Chelsea. That everybody. That's it's kind of like we all remember what you've done for me lately. And he had a great game against Chelsea, but prior to that, the guy was terrible. Every chance he got to play with the Portuguese national team is, you talk about Arturo with his feet. This guy made Arturo look like, Pele. So I think I would not mind seeing this kid Anthony Lopes get a crack, because just because of the unknown, just to see what he has to offer.
Yeah, I mean he's not an unknown, but I mean
with the
you're right.
He is.
You're right, but he's a young kid, and maybe that's where the future lays. With him. Well, like you said, it's tough to pass up Patricio, especially when he's putting out performance like he did against Chelsea. But if you're playing with a weak team and you got a strong team coming at you, your chances of stopping a lot of shots or getting a lot of work, you got a big chance of doing that. So maybe that's not so impressive after all. It's like taking practice. It's like taking shot practice.
Well, whatever. Either way, I like to see him play. How's that?
Anyway. But who is the guy that surprised you the most out of this call-up?
I mean, I think all of us would be lying to ourselves if we didn't say Ivo Pinto. I never heard of the guy. Never. I mean, when I heard, I said, "What? What?"
Fair point.
I honestly, guys, let's be honest. I thought it was a joke. I had to search the guy. Yeah, okay, he came from Boavista, then he played at Porto, and then he went to 53 other clubs, and now he's at Dinamo Zagreb. Okay, I never heard of the guy before. Probably never hear about him afterwards. Hopefully he does well if he does get a chance to play.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do agree with Steve. Adrian, I think it was well-deserved. This is a guy that could play in the midfield as that holding midfielder on his own, as play a little bit more up top. He could play a couple of different roles. Cedric, just because we were all kind of getting tired of João Pereira's antics a little bit, so hopefully this guy come in and be refreshing on the right side. So there's a couple of players here that we could be proud about coming back. But to me, I've just never been sold about Donny.
Yeah.
Just never been sold on.
Steve, looking at this call-up sheet and looking at the players that he called up, do you think we got games against France? When does that game come up?
Saturday.
Then we got a game against Denmark on the 14th,
Tuesday,
which is next week. Do you see Fernando Santos changing the 4-3-3?
No, not necessarily the 4-3-3 unless he really tries something drastic. I would have liked to listen to his whole interview that I saw on Abola TV before mentioning this, but I think he mentioned something about playing without a striker. And if he plays without a striker, then we might see a change to the 4-3-3, or maybe a 4-3-3 with a false 9. And if he does that, then that would be interesting. But I think it'll be a three-man midfield one way or the other. You'll see William for sure, Moutinho for sure. It's the third guy who you don't know what's going to be. It could be Adrian, it could be João Mario, could be Thiago, could be a whole bunch of guys.
I don't think it's going to be João Mario. I think it's Adrian and Thiago.
I'd play Moutinho, Thiago, Gomes, André Gomes, all three of them in the middle. Like a kind of a 4-2-1, and then a couple. I'm being serious. I would play like a weird.
Who's going to be Carvalho?
Midfield.
Moutinho and Thiago, they could both recuperar. All three of them. André Gomes, all three of them right in the midfield. I think they all have the qualities to get the ball back and have the qualities to go for. Carvalho, he's phenomenal positionally. The guy getting into position defensively is awesome. But the guy with the ball at his feet, I am sorry. He's worse than Javi Garcia was with Benfica. The guy is trapalhão with the ball of his feet. And I think, guys, I know you're all going to disagree with me, guys.
Beg to differ.
Okay, that's fine, and I respect that. But look, check this out. I think that the rest of the teams throughout Europe agree more with me than they do with you guys. That's why they didn't come up with the big bucks for this guy, because they know he's very limited with the ball on his feet.
Yeah, we know it, and it's been talked about very, very much ad nauseum that he's not a vertical guy. He's a side-to-side guy. So, I mean, it could be. I mean, it all depends on what the game plan is and what those three guys could definitely play all those roles. Recuperar a bola and distribute and build up. But, Pidgey boy, what you think, man? You think this is going to be something drastic, or you think it will slowly introduce a new game plan and maybe a new type of style, more of a possession style with the three guys that take good care of the ball in the middle, and then you got the guys up front?
Yeah, I think we're still, overloaded with wingers like we always are. And if Ronaldo plays, it'll probably still be the 4-3-3 because I don't see Ronaldo playing anywhere else, and and the national team is kind of stuck with that. But if he wants to try something against France, yeah, it might be something where we have a holding midfielder in the form of William Carvalho probably, and then we can have the two guys in the middle, and then maybe two attackers up front or something. But it'll probably just stay 4-3-3 because I think even the youth guys playing that formation because I think that's normal for us.
Yeah,
they have been.
Yeah, so that's about it. I think that's all I got. I think we spent enough time on the national team, maybe more than what I wanted.
Nah, listen, bro, we're Portuguese. We have to cover our national team.
Yeah, I understand.
Before we go, though, Steve, my man Pedro, and then the two of us. Give me a starting 11. I mean, forget France, because France, I think he could go a bunch of different ways to give guys experience. But let's look at the game on Tuesday, a game that counts, a game that we absolutely need to qualify for Europe. So I'll start with you, Steve. Give me your starting 11 going into that game, please.
My choice or what he's going to play?
Your choice.
Your choice, bro.
My choice. Beto.
Oh, your choice. Okay.
Beto. Yeah. I do not like Rui Patricio. Beto, Cedric, Pep, Carvalho, Antunes, William Carvalho, Moutinho, Thiago, Ronaldo, Dani, Nani. Dani is like a false nine of sorts.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on. Pedro in Australia, where kangaroos like to fight. I mean, yeah, they like to fight each other. Go ahead.
I heard something funny on I read something funny on Twitter. If kangaroos got drunk, would they wake up in the morning and find all kinds of shit in their pouch? I can't take the credit.
That's great.
Go ahead, Pedro. You're
starting 11, Pedro.
Starting 11.
Well, I would put Patricio in there. Then I'd have Cedric, Pep, José Font, and Antunes. Carvalho, Moutinho, and I'd put Adrian in there. Adrian. And then I'd have Ronaldo, Nani, and Dani through the middle.
Okay, you go.
Patricio, Cedric, Pep, Font, Antunes, Carvalho, Thiago, Moutinho, Ronaldo, and Nani on the wings. And I'd probably go Dani also.
How do all three of you guys leave a guy that's on the team of the month for arguably the best league in the world, okay, Andre Gomes, and you're starting guys that play in the same league that haven't made the same impact this guy has made? Andre Gomes right now, today, as we speak, absolutely has to start on this team. I don't know about a month from now, 3 months from now, 4 months ago. I'm talking about today. The guy is playing at a level that, with the exception of Ronaldo, you can't tell me another player on this team is playing at the level that this guy's performing at so far early into the season. So the guy absolutely, if you're going based on merit, the guy absolutely needs to start. So I go with Patricio, unfortunately, because I don't know enough about this other kid, Anthony Lopes. Cedric, Pepe, I'd give it to Carvalho just because the guys, he brings that veteran leadership, even though I'm not crazy about putting him in there. I still put him in there. Antunes, I play Moutinho, Thiago, and Andre Gomes together in the middle. Nani, Quaresma, and Ronaldo up top. Just tell Ronaldo kind of like, yo, faz o que tu quiser. Do what you got to do. Just score goals. That would be my formation.
Yeah, I think that might be a good shot on Ricardo Carvalho, because how do you call a guy, especially at his age, and then you leave him on the bench?
And is he going to walk out if you leave him on the bench again?
Exactly. When that was his freaking issue to start with Paul Bint, that he got called, but he wasn't going to get played, and
maybe he's just trying to get his frequent miles thing up.
Frequent flyer miles.
Who knows? All right, well, that's about it. I think that's all. Well, we got time for more, but I'm gonna cut it short. I mean, this is over an hour now. We got 4 of us, but it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, but what's not fun, guys? And I always get on this. This is what's not fun.
Yes, guys.
Where's that?
Guys.
Come on, I need to.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, I'll find it for you.
Hello, guys.
There it is. This is what's not fun, guys. Well, with the exception of Steve buying 2 shirts, Alfredo buying 1, we only got 13 sold. That shit ain't
16,
cool.
16. Yeah, that's right. Good math skills.
That ain't cool. All right, that ain't flowing anywhere. And the other thing is, we're at 531 followers. I mean, like, really? Really. This is Benfica. I hope all you guys watching this that have Twitter and have friends and families and like your side piece, whatever it is that you have that has Twitter.
Side piece.
Okay. If you guys are content with the fact that there's this one Porto podcast, whatever it is, like Twitter, they got more followers than Benfica. If you guys are content with that and you can sleep at night, shame on you. That's all I got to say. Follow Benfica podcast, guys. Come on, it's criminal that you guys don't already. Let's go. We need to get this number at least to 1,000, where then I will give you a shirt of your choice. I'll probably send you this for your autograph.
Yeah. I know that. I know that Cristiano mentioned before. If you were watching the video, you could see Pedro going through all these wardrobe changes.
He still has his shirt on. Look at that.
For me, the most impressive thing is Cristiano rocking out the Miami Vice type of shiz.
Listen. We have done a couple of impressive things here. Pedro going through his whole wardrobe. Me with this fresh look over here. You with the new Benfica.
What is that? Is that green?
No, man. Gray, baby. This is. I think I stole this from my grandfather. But yo, what's impressive, and most of you guys watching, you weren't posting videos, but our good friend Steve Santos here has the light on. This is a man to turn off the light and do the show in his underwear. And we can only imagine what the hell he's doing down there. So he still has the light on. So it's very impressive. So just a couple of things.
It's very impressive. Pedro, you want to show what's on the back of your shirt? I know that somebody was looking for that.
There we go.
There we go.
Cardozo. Wait. You gotta talk as you're saying that because the picture switches to all of us. Go, turn around. Do it again.
And you just, there you go.
Why, yo, woo!
Cardozo.
That's right. I know a certain somebody is going to be very happy with that.
I wonder who that is.
Anyway, I think that's about it. Before we go though, Peggy, I know that you're out on the other side of the world. We really appreciate you making the effort to come on. You are truly one special fan. I know there's a handful of guys that are special, that follow the podcast religiously, that promote the podcast religiously. You happen to be one of them, and my sincerest, from the bottom of my heart, my sincerest gratitude in what you mean to us and to the podcast, as far as loving the stuff that we do, because it's for fans like you that we actually put this out and put the effort forth, and we really appreciate it. And we're tremendously grateful by your contributions, and also for you coming on the podcast and really enjoying your presence, and really from the bottom of my heart, I'm a little bit emotional right now. But Peggy, man, really, man, a big thank you to you, man, and I love it, man, when you come on, and you're always welcome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Sorry, go on, Steve.
No, I just wanted to say I feel the same way, and this man can make us feel like movie stars at times. I swear to God, when it comes to posting pictures of me saying to visit Portugal, you guys missed Steve Santos. He was in Portugal. Honestly, Peggy, fantastic, man. The support is out of this world.
You guys might just get some kangaroo leather shoes from this guy. Thank you.
I'll start up another 500 Twitter accounts, so hopefully that'll help.
Peggy, really, man, it means the world to us that you're as big of a fan you are, and you're committed to promoting, and you enjoyed this crazy stuff that we do every week, that we do out of the love for the club. And it means a lot that people are out there that actually look forward to this podcast every week, man. It's touching, and it's and seeing also people getting together everywhere in the world because they've met through Twitter, or because the common love for the podcast is really something that's touching. And I never, beyond my wildest imagination, would I ever think that people would love it as much as I love doing it. And there's people out there that actually, like Steve said, makes us feel like movie stars.
That's phenomenal.
And you're one of them, Peggy.
Well, just on behalf of everyone, it's amazing the job that you do, and we saw pictures of Steve with Pete and Pedro in Portugal, and that was because of you, Alfredo, and and you, Steve, and everyone that's been on, the podcast in the past. No, we really love your work. And Cristiano, the newest member, good stuff.
You're a friend of theirs, so you're a friend of mine, bro. So really appreciate everything you've done. I don't know, I can't get into detail as these two guys could, but I'm pretty sure that it's very nice of you, and on their behalf, I'd like to thank you myself, and I'm grateful I'm on here just like you are, buddy. Yeah. So
Pedgy, throw out your Twitter, bro.
Pedge21.
Yeah, Pedgy is in Australia. If there's any fans listening to Australia, maybe you should hit up Pedgy and you guys could get together and watch some games at 2 o'clock in the morning. That'd be great.
Yeah, bring the coffee.
Right, and right next to me, Cristiano, and Cristiano, I've actually known Cristiano for a very long time, and I've recently connected with him through Eric, and I'm very grateful that Cristiano has made the time to be part of the podcast, and he means a lot to me when he comes on, and I know that he adds a different personality to the show, and I think everybody agrees. And and he's just not a guest; he's an honorable guest, and we would love to have him every week. And that's it, Cristiano on Twitter, bro.
No, I appreciate that. 10CO10, and I'm gonna keep it nice and short because you guys like to get mushy on this show, and I start getting mushy. My chest hair start.
Hey, hold on. Let me cut you off.
I love you guys.
Hold on.
I love you, Steve. I love you too.
I love you too, Cristiano. Just you gotta lay off on giving this guy alcohol. Alfredo is way too emotional.
Only one today.
Only one?
That was it.
Wow. Okay. All right. Just checking.
I'm very emotional lately. I don't know what it is.
Alfredo, you know what I think it is?
Maybe it's that time of the month.
You know what I think it is?
Hormones.
You're giving everyone love on the pod except your man crush.
No, I'm going, man.
He's getting jealous. The guy's getting jealous.
I'm getting there, and of course, I mean, everybody knows how I feel about Steve.
Steve, you're the air that I breathe.
Steve is like Steve is like another half of me, man. We often have the same thoughts, and we often finish each other's sentences, and I'm constantly telling him to get out of my head because
that's scary.
It almost feels like he's in my head sometimes because we have the same thoughts. And I don't want this to sound like some kind of like a goodbye podcast type of deal, but I mean, since we're on the topic, and Steve's been with me for a long time, and I really appreciate what he's done for the podcast, along with the rest of the guys that come on here every week. But Steve, he's a really true special friend, and even though we only met once, I wish I
got to move down
spent more time than with Steve, and maybe I can start working on that one of these days. Go up to Toronto, visit these guys.
Steve, you my boy Blue. My boy Blue.
Okay, Don Cherry.
Steve,
my Twitter is at SteveSantos6, and thanks for another public display of affection there, Alfredo. I love you too, bro. Bromance is strong.
I love you too.
Short. And
at Benfica Podcast is where you could find me. The personal is talking to the doll with D being DA.
It's been a long time since we heard that.
We heard that, so I figured I'd mention that since we're on this emotional roller coaster. Also, last thing, don't forget to go buy a T-shirt, man. There's only 16 so far, 16 orders. This thing is going to become a collector's item, and I swear to God, when you see us wearing it and you're asking us, where did you buy that T-shirt, I'm going to tell you, there's no more. I'm sorry. Go on BenficaPodcast.com, on the merch tab, click on there, and there's instructions how to buy one. They're cheap. They're $20 each, $20 each, and they'll ship all over the world. Pedgy, you're in Australia. That's halfway around the world. How much did you pay for shipping?
It was only $12.50.
$12.50. So that's half the price.
Man,
of the
that's
shirt.
a six-pack.
That's half the price of the shirt, man. So go out there, support your podcast, buy the T-shirt. It's going to be a collector's item, I promise, man. Anyway, that's about it. Let's shut this down. Next week we will be back. We will talk some national team, and we'll look ahead to Covilhã. We were going to get into that a little bit. Benfica will play Sporting Covilhã. I don't know when. The 18th. The 18th, I think they play Sporting Covilhã at the Covilhã, the team that kind of dresses like Sporting. And we will talk about that. We'll talk national team, and I think that's about it. Thank you so much for checking us out. Please don't forget to visit our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk. Also, check out this podcast. It's available on iTunes, RSS feed, and Stitcher Radio. BenficaPodcast.com is where you can find all of our stuff, including some articles that people write for the site. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, guys, and see ya.
Ciao.
Adeus.